It's day 19 of Diddy's trial, and Jane Doe is back on the stand, and the prosecutor is expecting to finish with her today, and then they will start cross-examination. She starts off by talking about a trip she took to New York in 2023 where she received a text message from Diddy asking her to send him photos of her being bad. He tells her, "I got the phones, just send me what I don't have, don't say no to me, please." He explained that Diddy had two phones where his assistants had full access to it, but then he had another phone where they had their private stuff on. He said she was disturbed to find out that he had taken that phone with him, possibly to use it on another woman. Said to him, "You're traveling with our phone. You're using this to get your bleep hard for someone else." She refused and felt like the only reason he wanted her to come to New York was for another hotel night. She also explained that she had just watched the podcast interview where Diddy had bragged about the fact that he spent 48 hours on a yacht doing you know what, and she said it was a trip he had promised to take her on. She texted him saying, "You took her to the Bahamas on a yacht, not me, like you promised." And then she opened up her notes and she wrote, "I don't want to come to New York to be treated like a..." She said she wrote it in her notes because she didn't know if she was actually going to send it to him, but she did end up sending a version of that to him. He tells her that was just podcast talk. So then she quoted something he said on the podcast back to him where he says, "You made Papa proud." She also texted him again saying, "I don't want to feel obligated that you'll stop paying my rent." She explained that these are things that he would say to guilt trip her into doing those things that she didn't want to do. And she said she had felt that way since April of 2023. Prosecutors then played a voice note of Diddy that he had sent her where he says, "This is a true open relationship. Why do you have to make it a problem? Now I'm sick." She then testified that she had asked him to FaceTime her, and he did. He tried to calm her down and reassure her that he will take her on a proper New York trip with shopping and dinner and no hotel nights. So on the flight to New York, he texted her again and he said, "Where's Sly?" which is one of the male entertainers. He then texted her again saying, "Entertainment or movie night? Let me know. I'll get a hotel." She had testified previously what movie night is. It's not your typical movie night. It was a night where she didn't want to do the things he wanted her to do, so they would watch their own videos and do their own thing. She said she had felt upset, disappointed, and defeated and had hoped for a romantic reconnection, and Diddy texted her saying, "I have a surprise for you, just one." She broke down sobbing on the stand saying, "I understood that to mean he had someone new." When she landed, she had suggested Casa Cipriani, but instead he took her to the Trump Hotel, and she said he arrived late, they bickered, and eventually ended up at a lounge. When they got back to the hotel, she dressed in lingerie, Sly came, and then they had a hotel night. He testified that the new surprise entertainer didn't go as planned, so she wanted to make it up to Diddy, and she texted Sly herself to have it arranged for him to come to New York. She also coordinated the cash payment that was left in an envelope at the Trump Hotel for Sly, but it was funded by Diddy. Shortly after, she saw him again in Miami, where Sly was also brought in. He wanted to rewatch footage of what happened in New York and planned a part 2. She said these patterns of these hotel nights being disguised as trips became really exhausting for her. She believed would be romance or quality time would constantly turn into hotel nights. By October of 2023, Diddy had asked her to arrange another hotel night, but she saw on Instagram that he was back with an ex-girlfriend. He texted him saying, "You've got that girl next to you, figure it out." He replied to her saying, "You're the only thing that puts me at peace." And she responded with, "It's not me, it's the entertainment." Introduced her to Paul, which is a male entertainer. She told him, "I'm not a porn star, I'm not an animal. These experiences are desensitizing the act for me." She also expressed that she felt like she had to earn love, respect, and basic romance where other women were getting it freely. She wrote, "It's been 3 years of me having to F strangers. I need a break spiritually." And that was in a response to him asking if she was trying to break up. And she said, "You always push me to do more and more. I need time to myself." This is where they took a mini break, but she is back on the stand, and I will be back with more of her testimony. Now, after the mid-afternoon break, they played the part of Diddy's apology video, if you want to call it that, where he said, "I was effed up. I hit rock bottom. I sought out professional help. I'm going to therapy. I'm going to rehab." She wasn't allowed to say Cassie's name, which is why they took a break and had the sidebar. So they asked her, "What did you think he was referring to?" And she said, "The hotel elevator lobby video." They then talk about June 18th, 2024, and how it was the first time Diddy got violent with Jane Doe. Diddy had just returned from a family trip in Utah. She was in her LA home, which, yes, paid by Diddy, and she had his assistant Jonathan help her set up up the place. She said there were candles, red lights, she wore a long brown dress, but this was not one of those hotel nights. It was just supposed to be the two of them. She said they were drinking, and that's when she started confronting him about who he had brought on this family trip to Utah. He called him a pedophile, and because he was 25 years older than her, she said, if a girl can't even buy her own drinks, why are you interested in her? She said she snapped, and that's when she pushed his head into a marble counter. She said he was cursing, calling her crazy, and that's when she ran and locked herself in the master bedroom. Diddy kicked down the door, so she ran into the bathroom. He kicked that door down, so she ran into the closet, and he kicked that one as well. She tried to run, but he allegedly kicked her behind the thigh. She fell down, and that's when he put her in a chokehold. She said she couldn't breathe, but somehow wiggled herself free, ran outside the front door, and ran 6 blocks, hiding behind a wall for 2 hours, hoping he would leave. But he didn't leave, so she locked herself in the guest bedroom, and he kicked down that door as well. She threw candles and glasses and shouted that she hated him, but he got a hold of her and he started punching her head. He was saying things to her like, you're trying to keep me away from my kids, and she was trying to say no, but he kicked her to the ground. I was balled up, then he grabbed me by my hair and arms and dragged me back to the house. He was calling her effing crazy. She was telling him to leave me alone, and that's when he called the girl that allegedly came on the Utah trip with him. She said Diddy